Oop, not in focus at all. Okay, so number 18, we've got a hyperbola with a center at 3, -11 halves. The transverse axis is horizontal and 12 units long. So that means to me that I've got a hyperbola that opens up like this, and that A is 6. The transverse axis is the length 2A, so if 2A is 12, then A is 6. And the conjugate axis is 28 units long, which means B is 14. Okay? So, if I were to plot this out, because I just got to find that. Actually, that's enough to write my equation, but to find slopes, I might need to write it out. So, by knowing that it's horizontally aligned, I know that x comes first. And we're too loud! So, I need to put the center in there. X goes with the x, and the y goes with the y, so plus 11 halves. Okay, and then I gotta put a squared underneath the first one always. So that's gonna be a 36, and that's gonna be 196 14 squared. So technically that is my answer. I do want to say though, if I had asked you to find your vertices, or because sometimes with a fraction it's a little bit more confusing, or the slopes, and let's talk about that. So the point is 3 and -11 halves. So if I go to the right 3 and down 11 halves, 11 halves is 5.5, right? So there's my center. Now my actual hyperbola would be left and right 6, so that would be to the right 6, that would be 9, and to the left 6, that would be -3. Okay, and so I know that my hyperbola, my vertices would be here and here. As far as my the length B, that would be up and down 14. So from -11 halves, -11 halves, if I were to add 14 to that, or subtract 14, anyway, 14 is over 1, so times by 2, it would be 28 halves. So that would be up at 17 halves. So this right up here would be up at 17 halves on the Y. But the point would be that you're going up 14. So if I had to find my slopes, then I would know that I'm going up 14 and over 6. So it'd be up 14 over 6. My slopes would be an average, or not an average. My slopes would be plus and minus 14/6, or plus and minus 7/3. Okay? So if I need my slopes, then I could say, I could write them like that. And as far as sketching them, then I would draw these points. As far as finding out my actual coordinate points if I need to, in fact, these aren't coordinate points, so I don't have to find them. But it's never a bad idea to practice writing or figuring out what -11 is. Plus a whole number is just rewrite it as a fraction. There you go. Okay, number 19. I've got a center at the point 8, 6, and I've got a focus at 8, 6 minus 2 squared is 53. And I've got an eccentricity. Okay. So the center is 8, 6. I don't know which one is first yet, so I'm just gonna put and then the focus. So the focus, it looks like it changed the y value. If the focus changed the y value, that means my hyperbola looks like this, because from the center I have to go up it, or down, in this case down, to get to my focus, which means it's oriented horizontally or vertically, which means y comes first. Okay? Now, because it was the center 8, 6, I'm going to put the 6 with the y and the 8 with the x. Don't forget that. And then this tells me that C is a 2 square roots of 53. So, if the eccentricity is C over A, but C is actually 2 square roots of 53, and that means A is actually 4. So A equals 4. Now, A always has to go first, so this right here is 4. 4 squared. So that should be 16. Okay. And then, to figure out B, I know that A squared plus B squared equals C squared and a hyperbola. So a squared is 16. I don't know b squared, but I do know c squared. C squared is 2 square roots of 53 squared, which is 4 times 53, which is 212. So that's 212. So that means b squared is 212 minus 16, so that is 196. And b squared is 196, so I just write that down. So in actuality, I would have written 16 here, 196 there, and that is my answer. Okay. Going from standard to general conic form, I have to just multiply. In this case, I just multiply by the least common multiple between 64 and 9. 64 is 2 to the 6th power, so it's just a bunch of 2's, and 9 is 3 squared. So the only common factor that they have, or the only common multiple, the smallest common multiple they have is 64 times 9. So 64 times 9 is 540 plus 36, so 576. I don't know why I wrote it like that, but then, yeah, whatever. Okay, so 64 times 9 is 576. So we're going to multiply the whole entire equation by 576. Okay? Now 576 divided by 64 is 9. So I've got 9 times y minus 9 quantity squared minus 576 divided by 9 is 64 times x minus 2 quantity squared equals 1. Ah, just kidding, equals 576. Gotta distribute it to everything. Okay, now I'm going to expand the y minus 9 quantity squared. So y squared minus 18y plus 81 minus 64 times x squared minus 4x plus 4. I'm going to go ahead and subtract that over on the next line because I wrote the equal sign. So I've got 9y squared minus, what's 9 times 18? 90 and 72, so 162? Okay, so minus 162y. 9 times 81 is 729. Minus 64x squared plus 256x minus 256 minus 576 equals 0. Oh, I'm kind of encroaching on that space. So, okay, and then you need to write it in order. You always have to write the x first. So if I were to start this out, I would write the negative 64x squared first, plus 9y squared, plus 256x minus 162y, and then it's just a matter of combining. 729, so that's negative, let's see, that's 12, 13, 832. Would you add 256 and 576? So I think it's 729 minus 832. Is that right? Okay. 832? Okay. So 729 minus 832 would be 103, so negative 130 equals 0. And that would be my answer. Alright, let's do number 21. So number 21, we've got vertices 9, 5, and 9, 1. So it looks like we're going to have to start from information and put it in standard form, and then from standard form go to general form. So 9, 5, 9, 1, that leads me to believe that this is a vertical hyperbola. It's over here at 9, 1 and 9, 5. That's a terrible scale. But that distance right there is 4, which means A from the center is 2. So I know A is 2, and I know the center is at 9, 3. Because 3 is halfway between 1 and 5. Okay. So, I know A, I know the center, I need to know B, I don't know B, but I do know C. C is 2 square roots of 5. Or the square root of 20. I bring the 2 back in. So I know A squared plus, what you need?
I was going to ask, I have a girl who has a note from principal to take her test today. I didn't know what I was supposed to do next period. So, is there somewhere I could send her to?
Can I talk to you in a minute?
Yeah, that's
Yeah.
fine.
Okay.
Just come back at the end of class.
Yeah, yeah. Okay. So we've got a squared plus b squared equals c squared with a hyperbola. So 4 plus b squared equals c squared, which is 20. So that means b squared equals 16. So I've got because it was vertically aligned, I know that y is going to come first, and then x. I know the center is at 9, 3, so it's going to be minus 3 and minus 9. And a goes first, so a squared is 4 and b squared is 16. So the smallest number that both 4 and 16 go into is 16. So we're just going to multiply the entire equation by 16. Okay, 16 divided by 4 is 4. So I've got 4 times y minus 3 quantity squared. 16 divided by 16 is 1, so just minus x minus 9 squared. And that equals 16. You're going to distribute the 16. So I get 4 times y squared minus 6y plus 9 minus x squared. I'm going to still keep the parentheses because I'm subtracting, and you got to be very careful with that. Minus 18x plus 81, and then minus 16. We'll go ahead and get that over. So I'm going to go ahead and start, well, I'll write it. 4y squared minus 24y plus 36 minus x squared plus 18x minus 81 minus 16 equals 0. Final answer is going to be negative x squared plus 4y squared plus 18x minus 24y. And then negative 18 minus 16 is negative 97. And negative 97 plus 36 is negative 61. Okay, I think that's right. And if I'm wrong, y'all correct me. All right, there we go. Hey, Beth. All right, so number 22, it says write the standard form given the general form. It doesn't say that, but that's what we're doing. And identify the center, vertices, foci, and eccentricity. And slopes, we're going to add that. Okay, and the slopes. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to start with putting it in order. First off, the x's are negative, so what I'm going to do is I'm going to put the y's first. So 4y squared plus 72y plus blank minus 9x squared minus 108x plus blank equals, we're going to add the 144 over plus blank plus blank. Okay, now we're going to factor out the common factor. Some of y'all are looking really productive and some of y'all are not at all. You might keep working to get some stuff done. Maybe. Okay. So, I'm going to factor out the 4 and I'm left with y squared plus 4 goes in 7 one time, and then 32, 8. So 18 plus blank minus 9. I'm going to factor out the 9. So then minus 12 plus 12 x because I'm factoring out a negative 9. Yeah. And then plus blank equals. And then we're going to complete square. So I've got 4 times y plus 9 quantity squared. We're going to add 81, but if I'm adding 81 inside the set of parentheses, then technically I'm adding 4 times 81, which is 324. So we're going to add 324. And then on the other perfect square, we're going to cut 12 in half. That's plus 6 quantity squared. That means we're going to add 36. And 36 times 9 is... What is 36 times 9? Let's see. 36 times 9 is going to be 270 plus 54, so 324. 324. Okay, so technically, I'm not adding 324. It's negative 9 times that, so I'm subtracting 324. So subtracting 324. Which is kind of nice because that means they simplify each other out. So we're just left with 144 still. So 144, 144. Then what we're going to do is we're going to divide by 144 so we can set it equal to 1. Okay? And so then my final standard form equation is going to be y plus 9 quantity squared divided by 4 goes into 14, so that's 36. Yeah, 36 times 9 was 100. No. 4 times, yes, 4 times 36. Minus, and then, so that makes that 16. So if 144, I'm just going to do some math real quick. 144 is 12 times 12. That means it is 2 times 2 times 3 times 2 times 2 times 3. So it is 4 times 9 times 4, which is 36, and it is 9 times 16. Good. Okay. Equals 1. Okay, so from there, I need to figure out the center, vertices, foci, eccentricity, and the slopes of the slopes of the asymptotes, I should say. So, okay, the center is the coordinate point -6, -9. Always remember x and then y. Okay, because a lot of people actually do -9, -6. I know A is 6. I know B is 4. I know that this is a vertically aligned hyperbola. So I know that I'm going to go -6 and -9 to get to my center. And then I know I'm going to go up and down 6 to get to my vertices, the only two vertices I have. So up 6 would be at -3, and down 6 would be at -15. And then I know that my B, which is 4, if I go over 4 this way at -2, and then over 4 this way at -10, that actually just helps me create the rectangle that I would use to sketch it if I needed. And then I would use that to create my asymptotes. And so my parabola looks like this. I know we don't have to sketch it, but I'm just gonna do this to help me write everything down. So my vertices are at -6, -3, -6, -3, and -6, -15. My foci, I gotta find C right quick. So C is C squared is A squared plus B squared. So A squared plus B squared, that is 52. So C equals the square root of 52. So we're going to take the center and we're going to move up and down, which means we're going to adjust the y, the square root of 52. Now, the square root of 52, 52 is what? 4 times 52 divided by 4? Is that 6? What is that? 13? 13? So that's actually 2 square roots of 13. Okay, so technically I should have written that. And then my eccentricity is C over A. So C is 2 square roots of 13 over A, which is 6. So square root of 13 over 3. And then the slopes of my asymptotes. So slopes are rise over run. In this case, we rise A and we run B. So we rise A, which is 6. We run B, which is 4. So plus and minus 6 over 4, which is 3/2. And that would be all the information about that. On 23. We're starting with general form again, only this time the x is positive, so we're going to leave that positive. We're going to leave that first. So 2x cubed, 2x squared plus 16x plus blank minus y squared plus 14y plus blank equals 197 plus blank. plus blank. Although if you recognize that we're always going to be subtracting here, then we could just put minus. We're going to factor out a 2, and we're left with x squared plus 8x plus blank. Minus, we're going to factor out the negative, y squared minus 14y plus blank equals, and we'll figure that out. We're going to complete the square. Half of 8 is 4. 4 squared is 16. So technically I added 32. On the other side, I'm going to subtract, okay, half of negative 14 is negative 7, quantity squared. Square that, that's 49. So technically I subtracted 49. So I'm going to subtract 49 here. So 197 plus 32 is 229? 229?
Yeah.
And then 229 minus 49 is 180. Okay, so 180. Right? Okay. So then we're going to divide by 180. So we're left with x plus 4 quantity squared over 90 minus y minus 7 quantity squared over 180 equals 1. So these are kind of interesting numbers because they're not perfect squares. That means a is the square root of 90, which is 3 root 10, and b is the square root of 180, which is 9 times 20, or 36 times, 9 times 20, which means 9 times 4 times 5, so 36 times 5. 36 times 5, that would be 6 root 5. Okay, so my center is the coordinate point, again, x first, so negative 4 and then positive 7. So negative 4, positive 7. There's my center. And this is a horizontally aligned an hyperbola, not ellipse, because the x is first. So I know that I'm going to go left and right the square root of 90. Now the square root of 90 is just over 9, so I mean it's like over here and over here. Okay? So I know that it's going to look something like this as soon as I figure out all that information. Okay? So my vertices are going to be negative 4 plus and minus 3 root 10, comma 7. And my foci, because I got to figure out c now, a squared plus b squared, so it's going to be 270. So c equals the square root of a squared plus b squared, square root of 270. 270 would be 9 times 30. 270, 9 times 30. 30 doesn't simplify, so 3 root 30. Okay, so this would be negative 4 plus and minus. So foci also, the same thing that changes for the vertices changes for the foci. So plus and minus 3 root 30 comma 7. And eccentricity, E equals C over A. So C is 3 root 30 over A, which is 3 root 10. Interesting, so the 3 simplify out. The square root of 30 divided by the square root of 10 is the same thing as the square root of 30 divided by 10, which is just the square root of 3. And so the x, oh my gosh, you can't even see all that. Y'all didn't tell me. Oh no. I'm so sorry. I made this whole video and you can't even see anything. I also apologize about all the loud people around me. Thank you for your help. I said thank you for your help.
Yeah.
So the center is at negative 4, 7. So I sketched this point right here. The vertices are negative 4 plus 3 root 10, 7, because I know that A is the square root of 90 and it's underneath X, so I'm going left and right 3 root 10. So negative 4 plus and minus 3 root 10 comma 7. The foci change the same distance, so I found C by doing the square root of A squared plus B squared, and that's the square root of 270, which is 3 root 30. So negative 4 plus and minus 3 root 30 comma 7. And then the eccentricity is C over A. So 3 root 30 over 3 root 10. The 3 simplified out. The square root of 30 divided by 10 is just the square root of 3. So eccentricity is the square root of 3. And last but not least, the slopes of the asymptotes. So obviously we're going to go up b, whatever b is, and over a to get to my my slope. So b is 6 root 5 plus and minus 6 root 5 over a, which is 3 root 10. That simplifies down to a 2. This simplifies down to a square root of 2 interior. So it's 2 over the square root of 2, or plus and minus 2 root 2 over 2, which is the square root of 2. Okay? All right, and that is it for hyperbolas.